Hey Dheer, welcome to the UnTold Pride. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi Vinay, thank you for having me over here.
Also, I would like to congratulate you for being the first guest for the UnTold Pride. How are you feeling today?
I am kind of nervous because it's for the first time I'm doing, but I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm very glad that there is a group who's taking initiative about this particular thing, about the subject. So yeah, I'm quite excited about it actually.
Wonderful. So Dheer, before we dive into our topic today, tell us a bit about yourself for our audience.
I'm Dheer and I'm in my mid-40s. I'm from Mumbai, and currently, due to the scenario, I'm stuck at home. Otherwise, that's always good.
Well, I think it wouldn't be a problem if we stay sane. So Dheer, since we're going to talk about a really dark topic today, I would like to give our audience a trigger warning here that we are going to discuss about substance abuse. So if this is anything that will trigger you, we would request the audience to disconnect right now. So Dheer, tell us, when exactly did you get introduced to drugs for the first time in your life?
This was in, I'll tell you, 2014. And it was 2014. I was chatting with someone for a really long time. He was not from the city. And I was not in a frame of mind that I was not able to meet people during that time. I had some other issues going on, so I was not meeting anybody. But I had this chat session going on with this person, and he came into Mumbai after almost like 6 to 8 months of chatting, and we were pretty close. And he never spoke about drugs. I was completely no about drugs and a lot of other things. So, but when he came, and I was very excited about meeting this person, so he's like, why don't you do one thing? You stay in so and so locality. I'll give you this guy's number. Why don't you just pick up this? And I said, what? So he's like, it's called MD. And I was like, what is MD? He's like, you just get it, don't worry, and you come over and we chill out and all that. So that's how it all started.
Would you like to elaborate the situation a bit?
Frankly speaking, I was going through a major depression during that phase. The reason, because I had a long-term relationship which was, I was dumped, and my partner moved on with someone, and I didn't know what to do. So what had happened was I couldn't move on. I couldn't deal with the breakup. I even went for a hookup, and I had to leave in between. So, I was very miserable because I just did not know how to go ahead and what to do in life. And by then, this was like the time when I was feeling, I'm in my late 30s, my life is over, there's nothing left, and this and that. So it was a very depressing phase. So, I was not meeting purposely people within the city because I just did not want to go and see anybody. So this was a very comfort thing for me when this person was out of town, and when in fact, he was not even supposed to come. I was very comfortable with the whole online thing. But when he told me to get with this drug, then I said, you know what? Nothing is going good, and I was pretty depressed, which I did not want to accept that time. I'll just try this out. What's worse? What is there to look out for? There's nothing left to see in the. There's nothing concrete to look up to. Something is going to happen. What's wonderful about it? So, let's just try this drug and all. And when I did, I still remember. It felt amazing. It felt. I just instantly forgot about my whole depression, about my whole trouble. I just forgot about all the fights and the issues and everything. I was probably just an escapist, and like I told you earlier, I couldn't deal with my breakup. So this I kind of found a route to just get over it. And frankly speaking, I was there for almost more than a day, and half of the day I just kept on sleeping because that thing made me sleep a lot, but it made me feel very nice. The instant that I took it, it made me feel so amazing. There was, everything was very bright, and it was more like, how do I say, it was vibrating, it was pretty thrilling, I tell you, that was the most thrilling thing that has happened to me for a really long time. I'm not trying to glamorize it, but I realized that, okay, you know what, I don't want to do this more. But the guy kept on insisting, okay, you should have one more in order to not feel what you're feeling. Because after a few hours, I started to feel very drowsy, and I was not liking it. I was feeling, my throat was going dry. I was not feeling awake. I wanted to go to sleep, and I could just hear things. Not totally, but it was just like very random. So he said, okay, you know what you do, you take one more. So I hope I can use it on. So we were using the syringes, and I was being very bold and experimental basically, because I would never ever do that otherwise in my normal senses whatsoever. But this was how it started, and then he made me take another syringe, and I was like, okay, so let me try it. So that's how. So the experience was fine, but then by the end of it, by the whole thing when it got over, I did not even finish the thing. I said, okay, you only keep it. I don't want the money. I'm packing up and leaving. I'm feeling very weird, but it made me feel good. And then I took at least 2 to 3 days just to feel better and normal. So that was the first experience.
Okay, so it did produce a lot of increased energy and gave you the emotional warmth that you sought at the time. Were there any side effects that you went through after you were done with the high?
Yeah. So I had a constant heavy head. I could barely keep my eyes open because they used to go dry, and I wanted to sleep. I just couldn't see the day. I just did not want sunlight. I did not want the light. So it was very difficult for me to come all the way from his place to mine because it was pretty far. It was the daytime, and the thing is that I couldn't eat. It was just very uncomfortable, But then what happened was I kept on. It was like a coming and going, It was, the feeling was very on and off, the good and the bad feeling, So I instantly did not. Even after the effect was wearing off, I was not feeling. What did I do? Frankly speaking, after say almost 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I was planning to do it again because it just I could just relive the moment when I did it again. That constantly stayed in my head. So the drawbacks were very bad actually, because I was not able to talk to people. I was not attending calls. I was not meeting. In fact, I remember the first 2 days I just slept, and all I was having was curd, because that's what he told me. You have a lot of curd, you have a lot of banana, and try to sleep as much as possible and drink a lot of water. And the worst was this guy also injected wrongly somewhere. So I had a patch where it did not enter the nerves, but it entered the muscle. So it was a huge patch which was hurting like hell, because the thing stays in the area for a long time till the body dilutes it on its own, So it was not a good. The post effects were not really very good. But I was glad that time that I did it very little. And but then again, like I told you, after 2 or 3 weeks, I was craving it again because I was like, wow, okay, I don't need anybody, and I don't care about whoever is doing whatever with anybody or whatever. I was like, yeah. So that was how it was actually.
Okay. So since you mentioned that you did crave for it, you knew that it gave you enormous amount of side effects. How long did you continue to consume drugs? And apart from MDMA, were there any other drugs that you consumed later?
So I started in 2014, and the last I ever did was in 2017, somewhere in the May. And so that the last one which I did was the one where I consumed very various kind of drugs, and that was like so crazy that I was like, okay, this is it. I'm not going to do anything anymore. And after that, I just did not touch it. I was okay. I realized that this is not the kind of life I want to live. So my fight with the whole abuse was very constant, because I used to do it like the first time I did it. I still remember it was somewhere in August, and I had to go out of town, and then I did it directly in October. There was a gap in between. I had to go out, and I was like, okay, once I'll be back in town, I'll do it. So I did that, and then I continued. So it was like how do I say? I was not working that time. So, it was like, okay, you know what, I'm doing nothing. I'll just probably pick up a packet, a gram, and I will do it. And like, I'll probably just chill out, or maybe just look out for somebody to hook up or whatsoever. So in between, I had what do you say? I was fighting it in a way where I would not do it for months, and sometimes I would do it for constantly for 2 to 3 days, and sometimes I even remember doing for almost 8 days or so. It was terrible. It was just terrible. And in between, during the last 2 years, I had 2 paranoia attacks, which was just crazy, and I had to be sedated. By the time my addiction got really strong, I had stopped meeting my friends. I had stopped interacting with them. In fact, I would not go out. I would only meet people whom I would wanted to hook up or who were doing drugs. And my whole perception of things became so weird. I mean, like, I used to think that my mom and my sister are standing outside my room, and they are plotting against me. I could hear, if at all there was a car going on, I could hear it in some other different voice. If I would be sleeping, I could see waves in the night. I mean, I could see figures completely hallucinating, okay? And these were the withdrawal symptoms which were very bad. You just did not want to go through it because it was very scary. The heart rate would pulse really very fast, and all the possible negative thoughts would come to you. I remember being in my bathroom for hours and hours, my mom knocking at the door, what are you doing, why don't you come out, and this and that and all. And, and my whole thing was like, okay, you know what, let me just do it one more time, probably it will really feel good, and then I just go to sleep, and then I won't do it again. But then what would happen is, by the time I would finish it, and I would try to go to sleep, I couldn't sleep because I was still high. And by the time the high would go, I would start craving it again, because I just couldn't bear that whole the wearing off the drug, It was just like a vicious cycle, And sometimes I would not be home for days. And they would keep on calling, and they would keep on messaging. They would call my friends were worried. So, and it was just terrible. So, sorry, I know you asked me that how frequent I was doing. So the frequency was very vague. It was nothing permanent. And sometimes I would not even be going out. I would just be doing it at home, because at the end of it was like, I associated having sex with this drug. And I was like, okay, sex with drugs is really good, but it was never ever good. It was very, it was never good actually. Because, I remember I would just go and make sure that I would hook up with somebody who was a drug addict. I wouldn't want to go and meet somebody who was not into it, because it would make me uncomfortable. But then what would happen is, if all you meet somebody who was into drugs, what they would do is, you would just end up sitting with them, and you start browsing on the app to look for hookup. That was the whole scenario. Trust me, this was how it was going on. And it was so weird. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not getting somebody good enough. I would just rather do it at home and just chill. Or probably, just whatever it is. So yeah. So the frequency was quite a lot. And the withdrawal symptoms were terrible actually. If I'm talking about the withdrawal symptoms, I tell you, I was just seeing my photos of those past few years. I was skin and bones, okay? I was just like, I just did not have any muscle, no, I was completely malnutritionized. I could literally see my scalp. I remember very well one morning I woke up and I thought, okay, you know what, just let me comb my hair because my hair got very frizzy and all. I would say जितने मेरे सर के बाल थे वो आधे मेरे हाथ में आ गए ऐसे कैसे and I freaked out. You won't believe it. I could see my scalp. For a moment I was thinking, shit, did I get some kind of other illness or what has happened and all? But then I went to my the dermatologist, and he's a specialist. So he said, dude, you cannot be doing this drug. I was out to him telling about my drug issue and all. So he said, you cannot be doing this. You have to stop it. And if he said that at your age, if the hair comes back, you're lucky, and if at all not, then you have to live with your bald patch. So it was not about the bald patch. It was about what I made myself go through just because of this drug. It is just unbelievable that I actually went through those stages, because right now, if at all, I just don't feel the craving or the need of that drug or any sort of drug, basically, because I just cannot put myself through any of those things because it is just not worth it, And of course, it is not worth what you put your family through, because
definitely,
they suffer the maximum, especially when you shut them out and they have nothing, they can't do, or they just feel so helpless and they just want to do something for you, and so it is just not worth it, And ultimately, what happens is it's very easy to judge. Are drug addict hai, ye hai, wo hai. But rather than I realized that, okay, you know what? Don't try to
stigmatize,
reform somebody. Don't try to reform someone, but at least listen to the person. If you cannot be good, don't make the poor person feel terrible about themselves because you don't know why they did it or whatsoever. And not everybody is strong. Everybody is a very different individual,
Yeah.
Everyone is. So, आपका जो strength होता है वो जरूरी नहीं हो किसी का उतना ही threshold हो. So, I'm sorry, I'm just bouncing from thing to thing. I'm just telling my experiences.
Not at all.
So, yeah.
So it did affect you psychologically and physically. What force drove you out of this addiction? When did you understand that this is the time that you should stop doing it? This is something that you do not want to continue in your life.
I would tell you, it happened within the first 1 year itself. I just did not want to do it. I just did not want to continue, and I was like, this is not what I have been. This is not what I was actually, and I would never have been comfortable about it before. So, but like I told you, I had to. There were struggles were too many, and apart from that, there were too many distractions, Distractions as in, sorry, I wouldn't really call them distractions. There were too many. How do you say? Too many people to pull you back, because you go to the app and there are every nook and corner you'll find somebody who's doing it. So, and I had, within the first year itself, I had made so many contacts who were doing drugs. And it is alarming that Bombay mein, it's rampant mein hai. I'm talking about 2014 to 17, because after that I've completely been off the app because I just did not want to associate or be aware what is happening where. But I'm sure the thing is still very much there. It was the time when, this was 2015 December, and I had a huge paranoia attack because I was doing this for almost 4 nights non-stop, 4 days and 4 nights, okay? And the fourth night, I realized I need some water. When I drank it, I could feel the water pass through my throat and all the way in. And I could feel that, I don't know how to explain it. Literally, अगर आप किसी कोई सूखी चीज में पानी डालो कैसे फैल जाता है, वो वैसे I could feel it within my body. And I realized, what the hell, what is happening? And okay, so just this that, so just 2 months before that, what had happened, I had got a I had paralyzed in a friend's place. I had completely paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't move a muscle. I couldn't move my head. I don't know what happened. That scared me really a lot because I did not know what was happening to me. Those friends were worried and they were like, should we call a doctor? But then somebody was there. They said, no, we cannot call a doctor. One guy just frightened me off. He's like, probably you're just going to be paralyzed for the rest of your life. So, that thing just scared the hell out of me. And then it took me a few hours to move my limbs. And for the rest of the day, and they kept on feeding me a little bit because I did not have anything inside my body. I still don't know what happened. And what happened after that? I stopped, and then again I did it after 2 months. So after 2 months, what had happened was I did it for 4 days and 4 nights, and I was completely having hallucinations. Huge. I could see images on my mobile talking to me, saying things, and I ended up shouting. Luckily I was at home, and I threw my mobile. I broke the battery of the mobile. A lot of things happened, and suddenly I started to feel that I felt that my fingers they have got some acid on the hands through the battery of the mobile, and I thought that they are shrinking and they are melting. And in my head, this happened in the morning around 6:30, okay? And I yelled, and my mom came running, my sisters, my uncle, they all came running, and I was yelling that, okay, I was yelling, I still remember, I was like, mere haath pe jal rahe, main marne wala hu. And I'm like, and this went up till 2:30 in the afternoon. Okay, they took me to various doctors. A family doctor gave me an injection to calm me down, but it was not helping. Finally, they took me to a psychiatrist, and he sedated me very heavily, and I was sedated for 3 days almost. I still remember they were feeding me, and that's when my family started to take control, and they said, whatever said and done, now you are not going out, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, etc., etc., etc. For 2 months my mobile was off, and I started to see a psychiatrist because I realized, okay, I need help, because that was very important, and that's where everything helped. I think the paranoia attack I am saying is I'm just saying is like, it's just like a 10% of what actually I went through, because I was constantly yelling. And my family and going to a psychiatrist really worked and made me feel, okay, this is not what I want to do, and this is not how I want to live the rest of my life is. And I was off for almost 8 months, which was the longest in the first time of using the drug.
So your family did stand very supportive with you.
Yes, and in fact, this time they were not being understanding. They put their foot down and they said, to hell with anything and everything. They even told me that we will get every possible number from your mobile, and we will complain to the police about who all are associated. So they did give me dhamki di, but actually they were just being, what any family would do,
being more protective.
They were being protective because I would never want my child or my brother or sister to do or see them the way I was, because I clearly remember that very well. So I in all luck, I was very lucky. I was just plain lucky to be at home, first of all, because most of the times I realized that many people, they are not at home. They are at other people's place, or they're just traveling. That's when a lot of things happen, or they are just staying alone. So, I had people around.
That was very lucky.
Yeah.
So while you were going through your therapy with the psychiatrist and going through the entire experience, do you somewhere think that the city or India in general lacks a support system or help when it gets about substance abuse and looking for someone reliable to seek help?
Yes, definitely. Because first of all, nobody wants to address the issue that there is a whole section of people who are into drugs. And just not from people from the community of LGBTQ, but people, even the straight or whomsoever, people just don't want to address it. Okay, there is drugs happening, and just not MDMA. There are so many types of drugs actually. And support system, because it's such a big taboo, I myself don't know who, if it was somebody just wants to go to somebody to take help, whom should one go to? The first few psychiatrists I went, they just told me to do some tests, and they were very expensive. And they told me, okay, you need to take these medication, and you come and see me after a month. And they did not want to hear or talk to me. There was no counseling, nothing, So it's more about there's no interaction. And I think the person who wants to get out of drug and reach for help, they would never know who to approach, because it's not advertised anywhere. It's not shown anywhere, and nobody talks about it, because there's so much of taboo. And apart from that, I feel that, but as of now, the thing is pretty weak for people who want to come over and get out of the drug habit.
Mm-hmm. So do you mean there's a lack of conversation in the first place before getting into other issues such as stigma and things like that?
Yes.
So since you also mentioned that you went through an application and the internet, that's how you were introduced to substance. But looking at the current scenario, we see that drug abuse is on a rampant on various applications in the community.
Yes.
What message do you think you could give here right now to folks outside who might be a little curious of experimenting it, or someone who's going through it right now?
For those who want to experiment it, I tell you, any sort of drug is basically not easy to not do it again. If at all it makes you feel nice for the first time, you will definitely crave it again and again, and that's how many people just get into the cycle of it. So if you are, no matter how much you think that you are strong and that you can do it once and not do it again, I think there are very few people who can actually would say, okay, I really don't want to do it again, because this is something which will make you want to repeat the whole situation and feeling all over again. And people who are already into drugs and who want to get out of it but don't know what to do, if you can afford, look for a professional help. And if at all you do know that if there is somebody who is out there who is able to guide you, but professionally, somebody who is capable of handling things in professional way, who are from that field, please approach them. And I'm sure people who are professional, they would not look down upon you, because they know what they are, who is coming to them and why they are coming to them. So they would definitely be out there to help you. So seek out help as much as possible, and at the most, if at all you cannot, at least speak to somebody about it. Don't just think that I'll get out of it. Okay, I'll just do it once. It never happens that way. First, accept it where you are, whether you are an addict or not. You need to realize that, and then I would definitely suggest that definitely seek out a professional help, because that would definitely make a lot of things easier, make it more clear that how you should take the next step.
Dheer, tell me a bit about the stigma that you faced, not just for substance, but for substance and a queer person, because considering the discussions that happen on the internet on being gay and being into drugs, what are the kind of stigma that you faced personally?
Okay, I did not face much from my heterosexual friends, because they were pretty understanding of the whole situation. So they never made it clear. They did not infuse these things of me being gay and a drug addict. But I did face a lot of things. I was looked down upon from a lot of people from the community, which is fine, because not everybody understands why a person does drugs or whatsoever. But I did lose out on a lot of people who I was associated with as, I won't say good friends, but on a term of talking on a daily basis, or meeting up once in a while, those types. So they just fizzed out. And I actually, after a while, I stopped, I stopped giving it importance of how would anybody feel towards me, because I was like, okay, it's not worth it. It's okay if anybody thinks anything different about me, or they have any kind of low or any kind of opinion about me, because it's their opinion. I shouldn't be bothered about it. So, and that's what really has helped me, because ultimately it's you who choose what you want to do with yourself and whom you want to hang out with, who your two friends are. Unfortunately, there are very few people who would want to help you out. They would just brush you off, And you can't blame them, because say for instance, if at all I was probably not into drugs ever, probably I would have also felt the same. I mean, because when you're not in the situation, you think, they are just looking for an excuse, It's just like sometimes people, when people are depressed, half of the people, they don't understand what depression is. They think they are just making an excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that education is very important. At least people should do it on and on, again and again, so that people realize, other individuals realize it, okay, this is there, and how to deal with somebody who is a drug addict or who wants to get out of it.
So Dheer, did you lose any relationship while you were going through all of this?
Yes. And there were few that so during my addiction phase, I kind of fell in love with one drug addict, but then he was also a drug addict, but then I realized that he was just looking for other people to find more drugs and all. So that was the only relationship. But then, like I told you, I did lose out on friends within the community. Surprisingly, none of my state friends ever even changed, or they never made me feel weird or whatsoever. They were like, okay, now you're out of it, we're glad, we are there for you, we were there for you then, and we are there for you now. But on the whole, the people that I used to go out with for the gay parties and this and that and all, a lot of people just brushed off, and now they're just like probably, just things on the Facebook, and we don't even sometimes, we just wish each other on the Facebook for birthdays and once in a while, once a year. That's all. That's how the relationship has changed, basically. And I'm okay with it, because I guess not everybody can deal with it.
So you did end up losing a lot while you were going through it?
Yes. So I used to be called for birthdays. I used to be called for... I'm talking about the people from the community. I used to be called for get-togethers and, hanging out and all. So wo sab band ho gaya, because, it's like you don't want to be associated with somebody who's looking so weird, who is looking so weird, who's not in his senses, or who has been spoken about जो तुम्हारे दूसरे friends बोलते हैं इसके साथ दूसरा बैठना नहीं. So ये होता है, और ये बहुत लोगों के साथ हुआ है. So it is just not my experience. There were a lot of other individuals who were into drugs and who felt left out by their own friends, unfortunately, by their very old friends. And so what has happened is, within the community, the people who do drugs, they make a group of themselves, because then, it's like a non-debatable thing, and they kind of understand where they are coming from. So, you don't have to explain it, why are they that way, or whatever they are doing. So what happens is, because of being influenced, under influence of drugs, and trying not to miss out on having a friend, they make friends within the community, and they form a group of themselves, And that's what exactly happened. I know people who are in their own groups at different spots in the city, and they were fine. Ultimately, because everybody wants a friend, at the end of the day, you can't be just having sex all the time.
So while you were already feeling bad, you were made feel terrible. it's really wonderful, Dheer, to have people around you to be here, strongly tell stories. One last thing that you would want to give our audience out there.
For people who are listening to this, understand that if somebody is into addiction, there would be a reason. Try not to judge. Be nice. If you can't be nice, at least don't be mean. I mean, like, just let the person be. And if somebody comes to you, be a good friend. And people who are doing drugs, if you don't waste your life this way. None of the fun, none of the high is worth wasting your life. And there are so many better things in life. So I feel that if I could just be out of it, and it's been like I've been off drugs for almost a little more than 3 years. So don't give up. That's what I would like to tell everyone, actually. Don't give up.
Definitely. So I think that's the mantra of the day. Do not give up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dheer, for joining us today. It's been a brilliant conversation. We hope you continue to be so awesome and help a lot of others like you.
It will be amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.